Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you from my office study, talk to you about power grid defense. As many of you know, I have chaired 2 power grid defense conferences trying to get our grid in this country hardened. The main resistance is the power companies. They don't want to spend 1 red cent. They don't want to spend one of these to save your life. Oh, Greg, you're being crazy, you're being critical. Well, you have to look no further than to PG&E in California right now to see the example of what I'm talking about. And the reason for this is it's called corporate bonuses. I mean, right now, power is being shut off to 500,000 customers across California. And at the very same time, corporate board members and PG&E are getting extraordinary $11 million bonuses for the great job they're doing in serving you? No, in serving the bottom line of the corporation, because they're keeping costs down, they're keeping things cheap, they're cutting services, and they're making money doing it. And so their board members are getting huge bonuses for the great job they are doing. And that job is not in serving you, the customer. And that's the way most of these power companies are. There's a few exceptions, and exceptions happen when the rank and file of the companies raise enough stink with the corporations over the knowledge of what can happen in a true grid down situation. And thankfully, Duke Power in the Carolinas is fixing these things, in part due to pressures that my good friend Ambassador Hank Cooper brought upon them, and getting the rank and file to understand what they had to deal with a protracted power grid outage, and working through the EMA communities. EMA people are typically more aware of this and really want to see something done. And we're getting some traction here in Alabama on that, but it's an uphill fight. The power companies really are looking out for their bottom line. They're looking out for the last cent, the last dime, because that's how they get paid. That's how they get bonuses. Think about all the corporate raiders like T. Boone Pickens, who goes in and just raids companies and strips them of all their assets and makes a killing, destroying companies and people's jobs and the services provided thereby. And that's where you're at today. The infrastructure of the power grid is rotten. Instead of fixing it, they're just letting it go to heck. So what does that serve you? How does that serve you? It don't. Do they care? Well, if they do, what are they doing about it? Go ask my friends in California. What are they? How well is this serving them? And see what happens when you're complacent. Oh, Greg, we don't need to worry about this stuff. You know, it's going to happen. You know what? Let me tell you something. That's why Californians are suffering. But let me tell you another thing. They're suffering. It's kind of like a camp out. It's like a weekend camp out trip. You know, they're going to lose power for a few days. Yeah, they're going to lose all the meat that they've had in their freezers and that kind of stuff. And it's going to cost them money. It's going to be inconvenient. They're not going to get water. They're not going to get fuel. It's going to be a very big inconvenience. It may be really rough on some people, and some people may die. But compared to a real protracted nationwide grid down, it's peanuts. This is not what I would call a survival situation. It's a camp out, a weekend excursion. It's a very limited affair. I'm not trying to trivialize it too much, because it will impact people's lives. But I'm just comparing it to the kind of grid down situation I've been talking about. This does not compare. If you're going, oh, Greg, well, we got through this, that, and maybe you get a false sense of complacency from this event. This event does not step up to the scale of a protracted power grid outage you would get when those large high voltage transformers that do this step up and step down low long distance power transmission. When those guys get taken out, it takes 18 months to replace them once they're ordered. And you won't even be able to order them or put them in place when everything's down, when you can't buy gas, when all the infrastructure's shot, when there's no money available. It ain't happening, my friends. It ain't happening. So that's where you get into the dire straits, the really bad situation. Some people compare what's going on in Venezuela and think, well, the Venezuelans are somewhat surviving. The Venezuelans are not doing great. but then, yeah, they're in rough, but they're not as bad as the kind of situation we've talked about, because the United States is more reliant on its power grid, and they're not in a complete power grid outage there. They're having difficulties. They're having economic crisis. They're having a political crisis in Venezuela. Look, the Venezuelans produce lots of petroleum. There's really no reason beyond their social systems as to why they're having such a rough time. I don't want to debate that. That is not the subject of this video. The subject of this video is to make you aware that the power companies are not doing their job. And if you think you can be complacent about it, then the whole country is going to find themselves potentially suffering, or at least large swaths of it, as the Californians are today. And Californians, if you're happy to let it go like this, then hey, more power to you, less power to you. No, you know, I've been on here for almost a year telling you that you need to put pressure on these power companies. And okay, you know, shortly after that, you know, around somewhere in that time frame, we had those big fires that burnt Paradise, California. You know, what a thing. Paradise, California, burned out by fires. Well, my friends, that's sad. But it was a really odd thing. I mean, around here, you know, on the base where I work, we burn the pine forest undergrowth out occasionally with a low-level fire when the humidity is good enough that we know that the canopy isn't going to catch. The pine trees burn. They are fuel. How is it that you've got fires burning that take out houses, blocks and blocks of houses, that burn cars, that burn metal, that burn the tires off cars, but the pine trees are all just fine? That's weird. I don't know. I'm just saying that's weird. But here's the weird thing. The weird thing to me is that why are they shutting down all this power in the first place? What is really going on? It's odd. Why? Oh, we're doing it for the public safety. That's the narrative. But go look at the forecast in Eureka, California, one of the places where they're shutting down the fire. They got 74% humidity and only 9-mile-an-hour wind. What? You telling me you got a fire hazard when you got 74% humidity and the winds are only 9 miles an hour? And then San Francisco, 8 miles an hour with humidity, you know, over 50%. It don't add up. I don't know what's going on, but it is hard to accept at face value the story we are being fed. Of course, most people are going to accept whatever they're fed these days. That's what we're supposed to do. It's all got to be true, right? Friends, you need to take heed and start grouping together and apply some real pressure to your public officials, to your power companies, and so forth. You need to organize and push them to make things happen, because this little incident is just a Sunday school primer for what could happen in a protracted power grid down situation. No, it's not fun. It's going to be, like I said, some people can lose their lives even in this, because maybe you require medical devices and other things. And in California, a lot of people can't use generators. They're limited to what kind of generators you can use. And please don't use a generator in your house. And the other thing is, please don't attack the power company workers. They're just workers. They're not behind anything. They're just doing their jobs. And don't go around attacking anyone. I've heard rumors of gunshots to some power company person. Don't do that. That's terrible. What you need to do is apply political pressure and economic pressure. Better yet, one good way to serve all these power companies that are so greedy, who won't do their job, is let's go off the grid en masse. Let's just rob them of their money. It's not robbing. Let's keep our own money by not giving it to them because they don't deserve it. Set up your own grid. Set up microgrids in your communities. A lot of communities have these laws, oh, you can't go off grid. Push it. Push back. Fight City Hall. Change it. Because that's insane. I'll do a video in the near future talking about why it's actually dangerous and against your safety to be on the grid. Why in an EMP your house might burn down just because you're on the grid. And no, them little bitty chintzy devices that some companies are selling, telling you it's going to protect your house from 40 EMPs, give me a break. You seen the wires on those things? The wires are like the wires of my mouse here. You know, it takes a really big wire to take a large current, and high voltages can jump open gaps. I mean, you look at these switches and these transformer stations and these substations where they have power. These things are several feet apart, and when they open them up because of the high voltage, you see arcs shooting through the air 20 feet. You think a little device yay big, highly potted, and a piece of plastic with some little chintzy wires, that's going to save your home? Ha, 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 ha. You believe it? I am an electrical engineer, and I do work system safety and electrical engineering. And I'm going to tell you, if you believe that, wow. I don't buy it. Let me tell you that. And if the people from said companies want to come after me, I will do some demonstrations. My friends, you've got to cover yourselves. Get off the grid. Disconnect. And for your own safety, and to economically punish these companies that won't do their job, that won't look out for you, who are only interested in saving a little penny so they can get $11 million corporate bonuses. Yeah, that's like treason almost. So technically it's not, but holy smoke. How these people look themselves in the mirror when they go to shave and brush their teeth in the morning, I don't know. I would be ashamed if I were them, but they're living high and mighty. Yeah, karma. Karma will serve them one day. You know, after that, karma will do it. These people, but yeah, you got to live with it in the meantime, right? So you got to push the regulators, push your politicians. You know what? Start banding together, kick all your politicians out of office. You got public service commissioners. They're typically elected. Put pressure on you know, you have the equivalent of public services commissioners, at least. I don't know what they call them in every state, but that's what we call them here. And I have met my public service commissioner and subs, and they're good people, the ones I've dealt with here. I don't know about your case, and sometimes they are limited as to what they can do, but that's a good place to start. Also, your state legislatures and other places. Join with groups like Secure the Grid Coalition. These are individuals who are working to try to secure the power grid. There are things that you can do to try to keep your power grid secured. And just remember, though, what's happening in California is bad, but it is a Sunday school picnic compared to the kind of things I've been talking about here. It's a camping trip. It's a weekend out in the woods. Okay, yeah, you're going to lose some money. You're going to burn, you know, lose what's in your fridge or your refrigerator. But you know, yeah, you only live 3 days without water. But, you know, there's probably enough stuff around that people shouldn't be dying over this. So I said shouldn't be. Now, invariably, people might. But don't go crazy. Be calm. Don't go out and take it out on the line workers and people like that. They're just like you and me and everybody else. They're just doing their jobs, and they're not the people making these decisions. But what about these guys getting $11 million? Really? Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's happening. And it's happening right now as your power is getting shut off in California, for those of you there. And this could happen anywhere else. You know what happens in California? It usually starts there and spreads across the country. So forewarning, my friends, what happens in California usually comes to the rest of us in time. So let's make sure that it stops in California. I think our border wall is in the wrong place. We need to build it around California, not Mexico, for Pete's sake. Just kidding on both accounts. But am I? You know, that's an idea. Seriously, but yeah, there's a lot of good people everywhere, in every country, in every state. There are good people, and people are people anywhere you go. But there is perspectives, and California's really got off on the left foot, you might say. So yeah, it's not serving you well, and I hope y'all don't spread that everywhere else. But in any event, my friends, pay attention. Keep your eyes open and head on a swivel, because it's my intention that to bring things to your attention and show you how you can act, react, and work to ensure that you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. That's my objective here. And with that said, I hope you check out my links below to support my channel. I do sell worms. I guess it's a good time to think about prepping supplies. You wish you might have had them already if you're out there and some of your power's getting shut off. It's too late to order them now. So think about it. It'll happen again, and it's probably spreading elsewhere maybe. So my Patriot Supply, and consider growing your own food, heirloom seeds at True Leaf Market. All these links are below. And I'm going to do a lot more videos on power grid defense, and prepping, and how to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive based on eating things that are wild, having wild medicinals, growing your own food. All these things are very important. These are things that are under talked about in our community and underappreciated. And I would highly advise you guys to quit unsubscribing when I put a video out about how to stay alive by eating wild edibles. I mean, if you think you're going to shoot deer with a big game rifle for months on end, forget about it. You're going to be the first person to starve to death, because they're all going to be gone within a matter of weeks. So, and I've covered that in a lot of my videos. Hey, I'm just trying to help you. I'm trying to get you awake. I'm trying to get your eyes open. So please consider that. Please do go and watch my videos on these topics. I'm really trying to help you. I put out videos that I know are going to cost me subscribers. Every time I put out a video on wild edibles, I lose subscribers. And it gets low performance. So wake up. Come to your better appreciation for the things that you need to know. And you know, if you watch my videos on these topics, you should never go hungry or do without water in the worst of situations. So, hey, I'm done talking about that. I'm getting off my soapbox, because I got other things to do. But anyway, I really wish you the best. And for all you guys in California, hang in there. And I hope you get through this well. And just remember after this, you know, do go. And I know you're going to now. Make sure your politicians hear this. Make sure your state legislators hear this. Make sure your governor hears this. Make sure that they feel like maybe they won't have a job. Maybe they should feel like they probably will not have a job. That's the best thing to do. Make them think that they will never get elected as a dog catcher in Timbuktu. Hey, maybe Timbuktu is a good place compared to where you're at now. In any event, and that is a real place. It's in Mali in Africa, in Sahara. Oh yeah, one other thing, LIDAR. Mali made me think about that. NASA had a space shuttles going around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour, 200 to 300 miles up, running LIDAR. And doing that, at those speeds and distances, they detected dry riverbeds hidden under the sand of the Sahara Desert. They found Mayan cities in Central America that we didn't know about, and all kind of great discoveries from that high altitude moving that fast. PG&E has helicopters running all over the place with LIDAR, and often they sit and hover for a long time, and they also fly around areas where there's no power lines. What are they doing? What is PG&E doing? Good grief. Guys, I'm glad I don't live in California, but for those of you that do, think about it. And for the rest of us, yeah, is this stuff coming here? I hope not. So it's up to us to make sure that these things are contained and these power companies are put in their place, and it's maybe out of business. Go off the grids. If you can't go off the grid personally, push to get microgrids that are not under the thumb of the present power companies. Because frankly, they're doing nothing for us. They don't deserve anything. Those power companies do not deserve this, because they're doing nothing to help you. They put us at risk. Our lives are at risk for a major power grid down. It puts our entire nation at risk. And people that don't like us know that. They're doing nothing about it. That's malfeasance or gross negligence. So take it to heart. Do something about it. I'm done preaching. Please subscribe to my channel if you've not already done it, and bang the update notification bell for more videos, and click the all video selection or whatever. There's 3 categories in that now. And I hope and wish the best for every one of you. And I do truly want to thank each one of you for watching.